Am I the only one that was like paranoid throughout the
Hey y'all. So, first of all, I know it's technically not been too long, but I'm finally able to sit down at 11:40 at night to record. I was gonna wait and do it tomorrow, but I'm like, we have to talk about Greenleaf. First of all, my face looking a little. I better lose weight after all this moving around I've been doing. Shit. But anyway, y'all, this is my review for Greenleaf. As y'all can see, I am completely, covered up in my little blanket. Only because I just got out the shower and, I'm feeling fresh. I'm feeling clean. My fan is going, so I'm a little cold. So, I'm being all good and comfortable right now. But, baby, this episode of Greenleaf. See, one thing about Greenleaf is like, it's like a car ride. Like, it's slow at first. And then, as we are further along in the episode, we're like, okay, where are we going with this? And then finally we fly off a cliff and we're like, so first things first, we're going to talk about just, least the greatest, just get it out of the way. Um, so let's talk about Zora. So basically, Zora, she is, at some point, I feel like Zora is going to have a meltdown. Okay, because one thing about Zora, she doesn't talk about how, she talks. That's the best word I'm looking for. She, says how she feels through anger, but she doesn't really say how she truly. We see how she feels, like, through her face and her actions, but she doesn't talk about, how she truly feels. And I feel like at some point, she's gonna have a mental breakdown. Like, this girl was getting beat on for some, months, and she wasn't saying anything. Then after that, she was just completely fine. Well, she wasn't completely fine, but she just kind of moved on, didn't really talk about it, didn't get any therapy or anything. She just, And then, now, this bombshell of her parents getting a divorce, it is. I have a feeling at some point she's going to have a breaking point. So, her whole shebang this episode is she's planning on running away from her problems by going to New York. Now, I would like to know, what job does she have for her to be booking anybody's plane ticket, for one? Do they give her an allowance? Like, because I don't remember anybody saying about Zora having a job. Like, not even Sophia, but this girl got a job. Well, no, she doesn't have a job. That's not what I meant. This girl got a plane ticket. She talking about she going to New York to go to school. So did no, they didn't accept her because she had called in. Y'all, my feet cold. I'm trying to cover up my feet because you know how when you feel that little warm, not that warmth, the little cold air coming in a certain spot, and it's like, ooh, it's cold. Oh, see, now my whole feet exposed, man. Like, this is ghetto. Anyway, see, now I'm mad. Now my whole feet out in the open. Girl, I just need y'all to cooperate. Anyway, yeah, and I'm keeping that in there, child. Who cares? Anyway, Zora, she plans to go to New York. She tells Sophia about it, and of course, um, Sophia is like, okay, a little worried about it. So she goes and tells Jacob and Carissa. Now, at first, Carissa was like, absolutely not, you're not going. And then Jacob was like, okay, hold up. Before you go into you're not going, you are an adult. If this is what you want to do, let's just make sure we do this the right way. because you're talking about going to New York. Where you living? Like, you have no place to live. Like, she literally thought she was like it's not like, you know, you going outside to the pool house. No, you going to New York City. Where are you going? Where are you living at? And I don't know. So they was just like, listen, let's just do this the right way. You gonna stay like on the outskirts of New York or whatever. You can still go to your school and whatnot. Let's just make sure that we just be on the straight and narrow. Because the last thing you want to do is get out there and you have nothing. Okay, it's just, until she finds her own place. All Jacob's stance was, let's just make sure you have your ducks in a row before you do anything drastic, and then, you follow your dreams. We're right behind you. So, yeah, that happened, and then later on in the episode, Sophia and Zora was talking, and Zora said, "Yeah, I'm pissed off at you, but at the same time, I'm not that, upset." But she did say that she told, she told, what's the name, Grace about Sophia's nude pictures. Which, do y'all really think she told her? Because I don't know. I don't think she did, because Grace, knowing Grace would have been in Sophia's face. What happened? Like, what did you do? And oh my gosh, it's okay. Y'all, come on now. I don't know. I don't trust it. I don't think she did. But Sophia wasn't too mad about it. At first she was like, "What? You lying?" She's like, "What?" She said, "No, I did. You told my shit, so I told yours." But I don't know. What y'all think? I don't think she did, because like I said, knowing Grace, she would have been said something. So we get this little small scene, which I should have. See, look at me, still trying to fix. Oh, there we go. Oh, my feet. Anyway, so we get this little scene, which I should start off with this scene first. So we get Grace and Noah. They're sitting at the hospital, or I think it could have been a clinic or whatever they were sitting. They were sitting in some medical office. They're waiting for AJ to, get checked and, see what medicine he needs to be on, because, remember he has HIV. I don't know if he has full blown AIDS, because there's HIV first, I think, and then there's full blown AIDS. So I don't know if he has AIDS, but he did say he's HIV positive, and they're just trying to get it under control as much as they can. So there's what's his name? At some point, what's his name? Shit. Oh yeah, AJ. At some point, AJ, sees that Noah and Grace is getting along and all, but to be honest, like, that whole scene was a little weird. Like, cause, Grace was like, "How did you get him to come out here?" Cause, I've been trying to get him to come out here, and he's just been like, "No," like, just pushing me off. And then all of a sudden, like, this is what I'm getting from Grace in her inner thoughts. you know, like, I've been trying to connect with this boy, and you just come along, and everything is just, he's like, "Yeah, sure, let's do it." And it's like, if you remember in last week's episode, um, when Bishop was talking to Grace, and he was just like, "Listen, you have to step back and let God work. Really, that's just all it is. You gotta step back, and you just gotta let him do his thing. Like, you cannot ask God for healing, and then you just constantly meddling and meddling. Like, did you do it? Did you do it? That's really what Grace is." And it's like, I get you. As soon as she heard that the baby that she gave up is alive, and going through all this turmoil, I'm sure she's like, "Oh my gosh, let me get him now." Like, I get that, but at the same time, at some point, you gotta step back and you gotta let him breathe. This man is 24 years old. He's my age. Yeah, you gotta, step back and you gotta let him breathe. But I know she has that in her where it's like she wants to connect with him. And I feel like she got a little bit of that last week when, um, ooh, ooh, sorry, I had to crack my back, man. Ooh, what is going on, yo? Um, when he kissed her on her head, like that was, that moment where you could just, feel like, oh, okay, where she kind of letting, but you also got to remember when, no, that was not last week's episode. The episode before, because I think that's when, yeah, that was the episode before, because that's when, last week, um, y'all remember when AJ and Bishop was talking about the car and everything, and so that just kind of gave AJ that little pick me up and stuff. So, yeah, but as far as what's the name Noah's concerned, like he's just, he's like, listen, I don't know what's going on with, the Greenleaf house, is it? But I found a spot for me and AJ to stay in, and if you guys didn't believe in that house, he offered, a place to stay for Grace, that we can live together as a family, platonic, of course. They're not trying to be together or anything. But again, you could just see on Grace's face, like she just had that look on her face, like, and I don't know if she's like getting that vibe from Noah that he's like kind of rubbing it in a little, like, cause I don't want her to think that, you know, Noah is just enjoying this. That, oh, he likes me over you. Because the way I see it, because even at one point, um, what's the name? AJ was kind of cooing at Grace and Noah, saying, "Ooh, look at y'all," and it's like, nah, no, like that shit been sailed. But it's just like I said, at this point, like even though AJ is an adult, he needs his parents, and I don't know. I don't think them living together is gonna be the best thing, But like I said, I'm gonna keep a watchful eye on Grace and Noah, but I don't want her to think that's what he's thinking. That he's just loving the fact that just that he's favoring the dad, him over her. I hope not. But that was the look she was giving, and I'm like, please don't think that. Like, don't do that. he don't. AJ don't need this. Okay. Like you see that he's happy that y'all are getting along, and you're over here doing. Anyway, girl, Grace, calm down. It's all right. Okay, at least AJ's getting better. That's the goal, because before AJ was child getting on everybody's nerves. Now he whatever. So Jacob and Carissa, where I want to pick up. So this whole episode, they're basically preparing to tell their son that they're getting a divorce. Now, Carissa is trying to make it clear, don't argue in front of him, don't argue about custody or anything, because the one thing that Jacob is trying to do is get shared custody, which I'm like, why wouldn't you give him shared custody? Like, that's his father, like, and Carissa's like, no, you're not getting that, So, of course, that one point when Zora, no, when Jacob and Carissa was talking to Zora, you can see in Chris's face that, the way Jacob handled the situation, she was just like, wow, like it's amazing how it took this for, us to, for me to really see the husband I wanted you to be when we met. And she's like, maybe, meeting me was, a problem. And, Jacob was like, no, because then we wouldn't have, our children. And, if that's the case, then none of us will be born, Like, nobody, you know, listen, we are not born to perfect parents. I can attest to that, okay? Like, none of us are. None of us are born to perfect parents or parent. So, or if we don't even have parents, like, all of that. So, um, then at one point, oh yeah, and then in that same conversation they were having, um, Carissa finally says that, you can have joint custody of their son. And you can tell Jacob was appreciative, which I'm still like, girl, why would you not? Girl, it's not like Jacob is he was a terrible husband, but he wasn't a bad father. Like, come on now. But, towards the end of the episode, towards the end of the episode, uh, Carissa decides to take, their son, and they're going to stay at Carissa's parents while Zora and what's the name, Jacob are going to be staying. Well, preparing Zora to go to New York and all that. So we see, which I don't know if we're going to see them anymore. I don't know. We'll see what happens in the future. But that was really much it with them. Like, I'm not about to dwell on anything. Like, it is what it is. So I really should have. Yeah. Yeah, I got them in the right order. So if y'all remember in last week's episode, right? When, towards the end, when Bishop and Lady May show up at the Church of Tara. Is it Tara? Tara? Whatever her name is. Um, Rochelle Cross shows up, right? Because that's they sisters, right? So, which we kind of knew. We still waiting on Basie to show up, but which I'm surprised. I mean, she brought him up, but she didn't bring up his death. So, like I said, until we see a body, Basie is somewhere living in the attic. I promise y'all he is. Um, but Tara is gonna come over to the house to talk to Lady May to, just to try to clear her name and saying that she didn't know that Rochelle's gonna show up. At one point, Bishop was talking to the FBI, and basically the FBI was like, well, because they were investigating her, and they're like, well, she's no longer a person of interest, so she's free to roam around, do what she wants to do, and all that. Um, but he's very much adamant on not giving the house away because, which honestly, like, I know May is on this new beginnings. She's on this whole new beginnings thing, but at the same time, like, you're talking about giving away this house, and and I get the reasoning for it. Like, it's not like Tara's trying to take this house and live in it, and lavish in the money and all the other stuff that she's trying to do good, so to speak. But it's just weird, how everything is at this point. It's just hard to trust it. Like, it really is hard to trust it. And, Bishop is really on, like, no, don't, okay? And also throughout the episode, Lady May has been begging Bishop, go to the doctor. And at one point, Grace was like, why do you keep asking that? And instead of just saying something ain't quite right with Bishop, okay, the screws a little a little loose there, so we just want to make sure that the nuts and bolts are squeaky clean and tight and stuff. Um, Instead of just saying that, she basically was like, I don't even know, like, I just want to, all the other stuff, but so Lady May sits down with Tara, and basically Tara's, trying to explain herself. I think at one point, during their conversation, Lady May was like, oh, I don't think you knew. Um, but she's like, at some point, because if you remember a couple episodes ago, when Jacob came with Tasha, and after they left, that's when Tara called Rochelle, which we knew that. And Basie, we knew that. Basie, come out, we know you there. And she was like, well, that's my sister. What do you expect me to do? If only May just heard how it's like how you said it, like, you would never guess who came here. Girl, does that not sound vindictive to you? Like, come on. Girl. But, Y'all, it's midnight. Damn, hold up. Why I'm over here yawning? Okay, let me hurry up. So, what else? Um, but in that same breath, Bishop is at the what's the name? At the bar, right? I guess he was getting the deed to the bar, or he was paying something or whatever, talking to the contractor. I don't know. I think he was getting a license or thing. I don't know who he was talking to, but at some point Rochelle shows up, and then they have their squabble, and Rochelle strongly believes in her heart of hearts that Bishop has something to do with her father's death, and Bishop, in his heart of hearts, okay, is adamant on I did not have anything to do, and it was to the point, child, Rochelle made my Bishop cry. Like, she made that man cry. Like, he's like, I had nothing to do with your father's death. And I honestly, like, it's easy to be like, okay, I don't think Bishop had anything to do with it. But at the same time, y'all, next week's episode, Bishop standing in the pulpit, he talking about he about to bear all. I'm like, huh? So I don't know what that means. So I'm like, I don't know if he did. I don't know if he didn't. We know Mac has something to do with it, but because Mac is dead, it's like, you know. But Bishop, I don't know, man. Like, I don't wanna, like I said, I don't know where to lean. Like, at first I was, the way Bishop was acting, like, this man was, like, crying. I'm like, I don't think he had anything to do with it. But at the same time, like, the way the brain works can be very selective on what you can remember. And because Bishop's, memory's a little rocky right now. They stay trying to take my Bishop, man. Um, because his memory's a little rocky right now. Um, you know, who knows? Honestly, who knows? But I am interested in see what's gonna happen next week. He's still, on that. Oh yeah, and then at one point, child, I was about to. So at one point, Bishop, he comes back to the house, and he's like, we cannot give this house up. And then Lady Man was like, why? And he was like, Rochelle came to the bar, and this lady threatened me. And then they started talking about the deed to the house. First of all, I did not know, which would make sense. Like, that house is on the plantation. Like, a big ass house. So basically, James is like, not James, well, that's his name, but we call him Bishop. So Bishop was like, the lady left the house to us. It's like, you really think she left the house to us before Daryl James, like before him? So you mean to tell me she gave it to him and then gave it to us? He dies and then she gives it to us? Like, the truth. And then she started talking about, the holy truth and all that. And then at one point, that's when Jacob shows in Thick Neck. He shows up talking about, that's when, Carissa and her, Winky was leaving. And it was like, we'll be down in a minute. And then when he closed his door, that's when Bishop was like, no, I'm not done. Because, they got cut off. He said, I'm not done. He said, now, before you go on talking about holy this and holy that, and because Lady May even told Jacob, the next time, you marry a girl you actually love. So you don't have to worry about normalcy. So that's when Jacob left, and then Bishop was like, you talking about holy this and holy that, but you still living a holy lie for 40 years, meaning talking about grace, and you still living it. You still haven't told anybody. Only people that know about it is the man you slept with, which he's dead, Bishop, Grace, and then, Grace's half brother. So, yeah. Um, so when, yeah, we'll go ahead and just mesh all that together. So then when, Carissa, after they leave, Lady May, or, hold on, let me think about it. Yeah, we can go ahead and talk about it. Everybody's there, you have, you know, Zora, Sophia, Jacob, Grace. Then Charity shows up, which is like perfect. And then you got Lady May and Bishop. So they're standing there and they're like, what's going on while we standing outside? I'm like, right, we can't go inside. It's hot. So, they all stand outside and then Lady May is like, I have some truths. Grace is a product of an affair. I was like, whoop. Well, and sure enough, Lady May fashion, she's like, I had an affair. Grace is a product of that. Let's eat. I said, now hold on. I know you just sitting here. You gonna drop the affair bomb on us, and you talking about let's eat dinner? Oh no, we gotta talk about this. But even later on in the episode, um, Grace, Charity, and Jacob, they were all sitting there, and it was just like, how dare they? Or more so, how dare Lady May? She done sat here and she done, you know, made us look like everything we do is just wrong, like just terrible. You live your life by God and da da da. And here you go with the funkiest secret, like, girl, that thing stank, just terrible. Cause it ain't nothing holy about that, girl. Just an affair, not an affair, and then hold on. How about they were talking about, which I was like, do y'all now know how this shit work? Like, all right. So if you are born, you and your sibling have the same mom. You guys are siblings because you came from the same, vagina, right? If you have two different fathers, like if you guys, or no, if you guys have the same father, then you guys would be considered you know, half brother, half sister. Which really, to be honest, like your siblings, regardless, in my opinion. But I, I was like, what are y'all talking about? Like they still siblings. They came from the same woman. And then they they even make the joke, but I feel like the writers be watching YouTubers and stuff because a lot of us have been like, nah, listen, Grace is a little high yellow. she high yellow. She high yellow. Like you got, yeah, Lady May light skin, okay, but you got Bishop who dark skin. Then you got Jacob, he brown skin. You got Charity as dark skin, and then you got the sister, which I think she was like brown skin or something like that. And you got high ass Grace. You got the bright light, bright over here, and then you come in and your child, her daddy's white anyway, but your child light bright just like you, girl. Come on now. But yeah, that was really it on them. I was just like, whoa. So we'll see next week what's gonna happen with Bishop. What he's gonna do? Yeah, he's standing there in the pulpit. I said, oh, what are you gonna do? Okay, last but not least, so if y'all remember these past few episodes, um, Charity and Grace, they both have been trying to get in contact with Phil DeMar's daddy. We're gonna call him Phil's dad. We can call him Phil's dad. Finally, Phil's dad is like, okay, cool, let's talk. Now, before they sit down with Phil's dad, um, child, when I tell you, I was so paranoid because, first of all, the episode, you know, there was a part where Grace gets a phone call from, old dude Darius, right? Rick Fox, right? And Rick Fox has a new phone. And she was, Grace was like, "Why you got a new phone?" And he was like, "Well, my computer and my phone got stolen." So then he was like, "Well, can you just, see if you have those emails that you sent me?" She was like, "Yeah, sure." So she goes and she looks at her computer, and as she's like on the computer, those emails that she has are all getting deleted, like as she's on the phone. I was like, "Girl, who the hell done hacked? Girl, who the hell done hacked in your computer?" But somebody hacked in her computer, deleted all those emails, right? So then that set off the alarm. I'm like, "Oh Lord." But like I said, Phil's dad finally was like, "Yeah, sure." Was like, "Yeah, sure, let's talk." Um, so they sit down. They was asking their questions, asking, who's this lady?